Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. For today's tutorial, we're going to talk about Valentine's Day. It's coming up, and I wanted to go ahead and give a try to these Conversation Heart Cupcakes. These are all buttercream. Besides, the letters are candy. So I'm also going to share my recipe. Now I'm going to put a link in the description box below, or actually I'm just going to either that or just write out the recipe for you. And I'm using my new mixer that I highlighted in my last video, the housework mixer, and I love this thing. At the end of the video or in the description box, there will be a link to where you can receive 15% off if you would like to purchase one for yourself. And if you haven't seen my last video, I would recommend you go back and see that one because I give you all the details about this mixer and why I love it so much. So we're just mixing our dry ingredients. And then I'm adding some water, a little bit of oil, some vanilla. Then I'm just going to scrape the bowl after I mix the sour cream in. This is just regular sour cream. I like to use sour cream in my recipes because it gives it that extra moisture. Then you add your eggs. And yes, these chocolate chips are dredged in flour. That is what keeps them from sinking to the bottom of the pan. Dredging is just putting some flour, mixing them up together so that there's a coating on the outside of the chocolate chips. And yes, my recipe is, for this chocolate chip cookie dough recipe, is it starts with a box, but then there is a bunch of other stuff, as you just saw, that it's added to it. And then with these liners, I'm adding foil on the top and along the sides towards the bottom so that the cupcakes actually bake in the shape of a heart. This whole thing is heart related. And I like to use a scoop when I put my batter into my cupcake liners. That way you have an even amount in all of your liners. So your cupcakes all rise the same, hopefully. And then I'm just using my silicone letter molds with some just melted candy wafers. That's all that is. Just melt it down 30-second increments until it is smooth. And then just put in a piping bag and cut a very small hole in the tip of the piping bag because these letters are small. I will try to find a link to this mold. I did get it on Temu. So I'm not sure if you can get that exact font on Amazon, but I will take a look. And if I can't find that exact one, I'll try to find something similar. And then I put them in the freezer for maybe even 5 minutes. It doesn't take long. And then gently remove them from the mold. Some of them might crack. I had that happen. Some of the letters like W's or M's that have a lot of angles to them, sometimes they want to crack, but that's okay. You can just remelt the candy melts and do it again. And now I'm making my edible cookie dough filling. I'm softening the butter and creaming the sugar in with the butter. And this will be in my recipe linked in the video description also. Now you want to let that go for a good 3 to 5 minutes till it's light and fluffy. Of course, I'm going to speed through it and get to the good part here. Now I'm going to scrape down the bowl. Make sure that you get all that butter scraped off, just to make sure that it's mixed in well. And I'm using that paddle with this, and I really do like it because it has that wavy ridge to it, to the scraping part. I think that really helps to scrape the bowl really well. Then I'm adding some cooked flour. You need to make sure that you cook your flour to remove anything that might be bad for you. Just cook it, and then, that'll all be in the description, but let it cool before you add it. Then add the rest of your ingredients. I think there's some salt there and some vanilla. The flour bulks it up a little bit. And we're going to incorporate it really good and then add in our mini chocolate chips. Guys, this filling is delicious. This has always been one of my more popular flavors, is the chocolate chip cookie dough cake with the cookie dough filling. I could just eat that with a spoon. And then I'm just going to transfer it to onto parchment paper, because my little trick here to get your buttercream to look like it's possibly fondant, but it's not. I'm going to do the same thing with the filling as I'm doing with the buttercream, because I'm going to lay them on top of the cupcakes so that the whole heart theme just goes all the way through this video. I rolled this out to about a little bit more than 1/4 of an inch thick. Then I pop it into the freezer to firm up for about, I would say 15 minutes. And I do the exact same thing with the buttercream. I had 3 different colors, 3 or 4, 4 different colors, and I rolled them out in the parchment paper just exactly the same. And then I brought everything out, and here you can see where I'm cutting it. I'm just using a heart-shaped cutter that is the same size, close to the same size as the cupcakes. The cupcakes were a little smaller, but it still worked out. And before there, when I was busy talking, like I always am, I showed you the cupcakes after they came out of the oven and had cooled. Now, I didn't use all of them because that recipe, I used half a recipe, and that still did 2 dozen cupcakes. I don't need that many just for a video. My family got the rest of them. So I picked out the best ones to show you how to decorate them. And the buttercream is frozen. And that's what makes it possible to actually cut through the buttercream. Now you got to work fairly quickly with this. And if they start to soften, if the buttercream starts to soften before you're done with it, just go ahead and place it back in your freezer to firm up again. And I did that with all of my colors. You'll see them all in a minute here. But you don't need to see me doing that with all of them, because it's the same thing. And then I did the same thing with the filling. The filling is easier to cut. It doesn't stick to the cutter as much as the buttercream tends to. So I was able to get through all of these without actually having to pop them back in the freezer. And then I just add a little buttercream on top of the cupcakes. I might have added a little too much because you could kind of see it out the bottom. But that's okay. I just needed some to get the filling. This is a filling, but we're kind of using it more as a topping in this case, to get that to stick to the cupcakes. And then add a little bit more buttercream to get the buttercream to stick. I know that sounds crazy, but they're frozen. So when it comes to room temperature, it's all going to stick together. And if you were to use this cookie dough filling as a filling, you can use it as a topping by rolling it into balls on top of cupcakes, on top of the buttercream. You can go ahead and core the cupcakes and put some in the middle of the cupcakes, or you can use this filling in layers with your cake. You can, do your dam, then do a little bit of buttercream, then you can add this in chunks, or you can press it out into a disc the size of the cake, put that in there, and then layer up like that. It's really good that way. This very multi-purpose filling. Now we're using our candies, our lettering, and just attaching them onto the buttercream with some piping gel. Just a little piping gel, and I'm just brushing on the backs of those. And I did have more wordy phrases, but time ran out, so I had to cut them down a little bit. But it's actually okay, because in hindsight I realized that there would have been too many words for the size of the cupcakes, so it worked out just fine. These would be great to send with your kids to school if they allow treats for Valentine's Day, or to give to your family or your loved one, whoever that may be. And this recipe will stay good in the refrigerator, covered. I'm sorry, let me say that right. They will stay good, not in the refrigerator. You don't want to put cupcakes in the refrigerator, but in a covered container for up to 5 days. And here's our finished product, our Conversation Heart Cupcakes. I hope you liked it. Hope you learned something. Hope you get something from it. And I hope you give it a go. And I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Happy Valentine's Day. Got to switch here. And remember the discount code for the mixer if you would like to get one for yourself. Catch you next time.